wondering, yeah, it's a shame when you have to wonder if you're going to work, if you're going to come home at the end of the day. And to see one of your fellow officers laying there, and anybody who tries to go to get him, I don't know if you heard on your scanner, the one officer was going over, he was saying something about a woman in a pink coat, and he got shot in the hand. But to be helpless, and these officers laid there for so long, just bleeding out, that, you know, it's hard to comprehend that this fellow is going to be in this house barricaded and just let these people die over such. There are avenues that you can go to go against President Obama's gun ban, and this is not the way things are handled in this time. I mean, this is 2009. It's not 1930. It's just unbelievable that I can't imagine the fellow officers unable to get there to rescue their own.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, Tom. Describe, if you would. We aired for our viewers some of the gunfire that we were able to hear through our cameras. How long did this exchange of gunfire last?
The first one, just guessing, there had to be a volley of 600 shots fired. And I don't know if it was all SWAT or if it was a combination of him shooting at them, or if they was throwing cover fire so that they could get in there to get their wounded comrades. But there were several of these volleys.
Yeah, we're listening to them, actually, Tom, right now. Let's pause here for just a moment. And it went on and on and on. Hundreds and hundreds of bullets. On the right-hand side, some of the videotape from the scene. On the upper left-hand side, the left-hand side of your screen, you see the news conference, which is about to begin. Let's listen in.
We are gathered here today in what is truly a tragic and a very sorrowful day in the city of Pittsburgh. A senseless and tragic act of violence, random act of violence, took place this morning on what began as a Pittsburgh beautiful spring morning. We take pride in this city in being a safe city, and we work very hard each and every day to achieve that goal. In order to do that, we ask the men and women in our public safety entities, and specifically today our police department, to put their lives on the line and to risk them each and every day. It's something that we don't talk about, we simply accept, and unfortunately on difficult days like this, the harsh reality is that officers in some cases pay the ultimate sacrifice. 3 officers today did pay that ultimate sacrifice. Officer Stephen Maley, Officer Eric Kelly, and Officer Paul Shulo III. Stephen is survived by his wife, Chandra, and their 2 children, Jennifer and Brooklyn. Eric is survived by his wife, Morena. They had 3 daughters, Tamika, Autumn, and Janelle. And Paul Shulo III is single and survived by his mother and father and 2 siblings. We really ask all of Pittsburgh today to embrace, to mourn, and to support these families and the loved ones of these 3 officers. In addition, we ask the city of Pittsburgh to embrace, support, and mourn our brave police officers who also put their lives in harm's way this morning on a very difficult task. They are to be commended. If you see them, if you cross their paths, thank them for the work that they did this morning as well. I also want to express my thankfulness to law enforcement agencies, both locally and across the state and country, have received condolence calls from the President's office, from Governor Rendell, from Senator Casey, and from my colleague across the state, Mayor Nutter. I want to thank all of them. Today has been indeed a very difficult day. This week, no doubt, will be a very difficult week, but I believe, as Pittsburghers always do, we will get through this. We will unite, we will remain strong, and we will remember these 3 officers and the ultimate sacrifice that they made. We thank them. Our thoughts and prayers and condolences are with their families and loved ones. At this point, I want to introduce Chief Harper, who will give you more information about this morning's events. Chief.
It is a very sad day for the Pittsburgh Police Bureau. We have never had to lose 3 officers in the line of duty at one time at one call. The last time we had an officer fatally injured was in 1995. So our prayers, as well as our hearts, go out to the Officer Shuley family, Officer Melee family, and Officer Kelly's family. Officer Kelly had 14 years, Officer Shuley had 2 years, and Officer Melee had 2 years. And no matter how many years they had on, they have paid the ultimate sacrifice. On Saturday, April 4th at 7:05 a.m., the Zone 5 officers responded for a call for a domestic at 1016 Fairfield Street in the Stanton Heights section of the city. Upon one officer approaching the house, the actor opened fire on the officer, fatally wounding him. The second officer, who was behind the first officer, he also sustained a fatal wound to the head as well. The third officer, who was on his way home, actually, that heard the call come over the radio that decided to back these officers up, was also fatally wounded as he tried to assist both officers. We had a 4th officer that responded to the scene as well. He received a gunshot to the hand as he tried to assist the officers. As the SWAT armored vehicle arrived to rescue the officers, it too was fired upon as soon as they approached the area to try to rescue the officers away from the scene. As units responded from the various jurisdictions to the scene, numerous rounds of gunfire could be heard. There were approximately over 100 rounds that were fired from the actor, as well as the SWAT team returning fire in an attempt to rescue the officers. Some neighbors were evacuated because of the amount of rounds that were being exchanged between the actor and the officers. There were 2 officers that were injured later. One officer sustained a leg injury, broke his leg, and the other officer, as I stated, had the gunshot wound to the hand. The actor was also injured in this melee of rounds that were being fired. The actor actually had a bulletproof vest. He also had several weapons, the AK-47 and a .22 long rifle, and also a pistol. The actor's name I will spell for you: Poplawski, P-O-P-L-A-W-S-K-I. And at this time, he will be charged with 3 counts of homicide, aggravated assault, VUFA, and other charges that will be associated with this incident. As stated, our hearts and our prayers go out to the officers that paid the ultimate sacrifice: Officer Shuley, Officer Melee, and Officer Kelly. We would really appreciate it if the press would not try to contact the immediate family members, as to give them time as to grieve through their loss, as well as the Pittsburgh Police Bureau's loss. At this time, I will entertain a few questions.
Chief, were the officers aware that there may have been weapons involved in this domestic altercation when they arrived on the scene?
At the current time, we're still investigating that, but the call was dispatched as possibly no weapons on scene.